Maxwell, how you doing?
I'm all right. How you doing, my brother? I'm doing fine. And yourself?
I'm doing good, considering what we're all going through. It's been crazy. How is this whole pandemic? How have you been holding up through it all?
I've been, besides little medical issues, I've been holding up, real well from it. I was actually not terrified of it, but in a way, yes. But I've been keeping my distance, whether it meant with family members or who. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, to try to stay as far away from it as I can.
Yeah, me too. Me too, man. It is scary. Cause,
it's scary, and it's a shame. All the lives that was lost, man. That's very saddening. That it didn't really have to happen like that, and that's very sad to see so many people lose their lives.
Yeah, absolutely. All because people brainwashed into thinking it was a hoax. It's real. It's like you said, it's killed scores of people. If I go anywhere, I wear a mask, hand sanitizer, religious with that, and I keep my distance. Until I know this is safe. But you do a lot of great work. You go out and you speak to people. I know that's affected you. How have you altered that through this COVID? Are you able to do live stream things, or how do you handle your speaking engagements?
Well, I've been doing some virtual things like that. I've been doing some virtual things, but went out on two things. We kept our distance and everything. And, but this has actually slowed things down a lot. But we managed to navigate through it and still, get that message out and everything. Because even though you have the pandemic, the other problems still exist, And so I still need to get that word out there and still share my story, Yes. Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, we know you went to jail in 1980, I believe. But let's go back a little bit further. First of all, where are you from, Maxwell?
I'm from Glassboro, New Jersey, but I grew up in Camden, New Jersey. Camden, New Jersey is actually right next to Philadelphia. It was rated one of the worst cities in America. And that's the city that I grew up in, Yes.
Now, what was your childhood like, Maxwell?
My childhood, growing up, man, I think I had a pretty rough childhood. Now, when I say rough, I'm saying as far as, just the environment, growing up in an environment that I grew up in and being surrounded by so much negativity out in the streets. And me wanting to be, before my time, I wanted to be a teenager way before my time. And so, I gravitated more to the streets than my other brothers gravitated towards home and things. I gravitated towards the streets and got caught up in the street life at a very early age. Excuse me. Like my first time I was arrested, right? I lived we had Rutgers University, the college, which is on the other side of the bridge of the Ben Franklin Bridge of my house. And around that area, it's very beautiful, right? Green grass, tennis courts, and all that. And right, you walk under the underpass, I'm over there in the hood looking down, torn down houses and different things. So I used to like to go over and hang out at the college. And as a result of me going over there hanging out at the college, security guard told me to stay away from there, told us to stay away from there. And one day I just happened to have my dog with me. And at that time, the security guards didn't carry guns, and he told me to get off the grounds. So I sucked my dog on him, and my dog chased the security guard. And, I ran. He didn't catch me that day, but he caught me a week later going to the shoe shop. And from there, he took me to juvenile detention. I had to go to court. My mother had to sign me out. And I think that was somewhat of some of the start right there. Once going in there that very first time, I think that had a little impact a little impact on me,
Yeah.
Yes.
What was going through your mind as a young kid entering into the juvenile detention center? Were you scared?
No, I wasn't scared or anything at that time. As I said, that's what I think that contributed to me, because in this particular, in New Jersey, this particular juvenile detention center, they took us horseback riding, took us swimming, took us to the drive-in movies, and all these types of things like that. And as I said, I wasn't doing a lot of them things growing up as a kid, going horseback riding and all them things right there. So at some point, I don't think it was a big deal at that particular time. And, once coming home, I got in other trouble. I started hanging out with guys, started getting high, getting involved with drugs at a very early age, about the age of 13, actually, age 12, I started. And
what did you start with?
I started with marijuana. From marijuana, I started popping different pills. And from popping different pills, I actually, I used to have money. I used to do little odd jobs and stuff. And I actually allowed a friend to convince me to try some heroin. And the only reason that he was able to convince me that particular day, he didn't have any money. And, like I said, he was a childhood friend, and I allowed it. And I tried it. And from that moment, I didn't really know what to expect from it, but I think I judged it as feeling kind of good, and, of him saying you want to try it again. And so, I got involved with that, and I started using heroin at a very early age. I was arrested one time, and I had no clue that I was actually addicted when I had went to court, and I'm up in the courtroom, and I'm all sick and everything, and they happened to notice. At a very early age,
withdrawals right there in the courtroom.
Yes. My mother had to sign. They put me in a 21-day detox program while I was incarcerated in the youth house. I think I was the first in the state, actually in my state. And so for 21 days, to detox. And, from there, I got out and I got, more involved in different things, like hanging out on the corners with the guys and, just doing different things. They stealing cars, I'm riding in stolen cars and all those types of things. And it had a lot to do with environment, mostly environment, because that's all that was surrounded by me. Seeing the bigger guys doing things, they were the cooler guys with the money, girls, the cars and all that. And we wanted to emulate that. So I grew up before my time.
Yeah, I would say so, man. That the heroin, when you first tried it, break down the feeling that you have, if you can, remember that.
I can't exactly remember the exact. I just know that I thought I felt good. I didn't know what to really expect from it, and so I told them I didn't really feel it, is what I thought at first. And again, as I say, I wanted to try it, and all I know was it was just like, I was in the nine and stuff, and that I just had this feeling, what I thought was actually a good feeling at the time, and but what that did do to me, but it, it turned into a disaster and everything,
It started to crave it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I didn't know I had to have it. I had no clue of what an addiction was at that time. No clue of why. And so, all of us start using for different reasons, but all of us keep using for the same reason. And that same reason is because we became addicted to it. So,
became a driving force in your everyday life and how you live.
Yeah. And, Exactly. And I became more involved with it as a result. My sister had got killed, right? And, she was like my best friend. And as a result of her getting killed, I really stressed out then. I didn't care. I just stopped caring about a lot of things, and I became more involved with it. I became hanging out in the streets more and doing it even more. My sister was, killed as a result of a domestic violence relationship, and my little nephew had gotten thrown out of a second-story window, but he just happened to survive. He was age 2. So that had an impact on me. And that also, I believe, steered me in a different direction of bitterness and everything, So I think that played a role, Yes.
Your sister murdered, and your nephew was thrown out of a second-story window. How did he survive? Did he, break his legs, or?
No. He didn't break his legs. No, he didn't break his legs. He was in the hospital for some time. But I'm going to tell you of the impact that it had on his life. It kind of screwed him up in the head. And growing up, he had all types of issues with it, and he had some real serious mental issues as a result of that. I don't know if he was mentally damaged because of the fall and being thrown out. And, he was trying to do all the right things when he grew up with his life, but that would always take more impact over everything else. He was aspiring to be a nurse's aide. He had actually become that. But he had one drug possession. That one drug possession, once he got hired, they looked at his record. It barred him from being a nurse. So he got caught up into using and everything, and he eventually OD'd from it. Yes.
Man, I'm terribly sorry to hear that. And his mom, she was a victim of domestic violence, huh?
Yes, absolutely.
I take it the same person that was beating her threw your nephew out the window.
Yes, it was the same person. Yes, that had thrown him out the window also. And so those things all, it wasn't a number of one factor. It was a number of factors that influenced and played a role in my growing up, and besides that, home and everything, when you just learning violence and, you're surrounded by things that's going on around you out there, these things definitely have impact on us, And, yes, absolutely. So this is some of the things I try to, my story, and I try to share with some of the other people, kids and adults and all, of how to seek help and everything as a result of some of these things, because the trauma of all of it, man. Trauma is terrible,
Lives with you forever.
And when something happens similar to that, it can send all those feelings right back in your head and to send you in a tailspin, So that's why we even have to get help with such things as being traumatized growing up as kids and all, Yes.
Yeah. And
so
I could absolutely see, where your life was heading after all these events. It's almost like, Maxwell, you didn't have a chance from the get-go, and you being here today talking to us is just, inspiration in itself, man. Real talk.
And you're not the first one that, yes.
No, I was just going to say, man, it's very inspiring.
Yes. Well, I'm glad to know that, and I wish that it would be inspiring to others so that they don't have to go down that same path or travel that same road that I traveled, because it wasn't a good one. It was very ugly.
No, absolutely not. Now, when your sister died, did were you still using heroin at that time, or did the usage pick up?
Yes, I was. No, I was still using. I started using more.
Oh boy.
More. I started using more of it, and I just got, like I said, I had no clue that I was actually addicted to it. And then after that, that was one of the main reasons. That was the reason that I was sent to prison with a life sentence. It was because of the fact of over heroin. Because I had given my money to someone to purchase some for me, and he didn't have my money on my drugs, and me and another friend had went out, and he didn't just sell to anybody. So we were still younger. We had to get somebody else to get it from him, and we gave the money to the guy, and he finagled me out of the money. And when I asked him where were the drugs or the product, he said someone robbed him or beat him or something. So I actually went up to the person that he got it from, and he said he gave it to him. So after that, he pulled up in a car, and I looked down. There was a gun laying on the car seat. It belonged to my friend. And I had seen my friend, the one that, I was charged with killing. I had just seen him moments before. I hadn't seen him in 3 years. We grabbed each other and gave each other hugs and everything. And as I was talking to him, everybody yelled, Maxwell, the car is out of gear. The car had went in reverse. I ran over to the car, as I say, to put it back in park. And, as I did that, I seen the guy pulling up, him and his friend in a truck. And I seen the gun down on the floor. I grabbed it. And I went over there. I believe I slapped him with the pistol or something. I said, I want my money on my drugs. He said, I don't have either. So he took off running. And I began recklessly firing. I fired like 4 shots. And a stray bullet hit my best friend, who I had just spoken with, who was coming out of the side door of a bar. And I didn't know anyone had got hit at all until a crowd of people began walking over to me and said, why you do that to the guy? He did nothing to you. I said, why'd I do what to who? I didn't do nothing to nobody. What are you talking about? And so, from there, I became very frightened of what I had just done and everything, and I took off. But I also didn't know who had got hit. I learned that 5-6 days after the crime, who the person was that actually got shot.
How did you find out?
Through the paper and through people, because I had left. I went to New York, and I had left the state, And when I heard that the person was on life support and everything, and who it was, I went to turn myself in. And during the process, as a result of turning myself, before I could, they had apprehended me. As I was leaving to do it, they didn't give me that chance, and they were supposed to give me the chance, but they apprehended me. I went to trial. It wasn't intentional or anything. So the guys had come up with a story. Hey, I told them that I was there to recover my money. So the state was trying to charge me with robbery, right? During the commission of a crime, but there were case law that say I couldn't be charged with a robbery for trying to recover my own money. And so they charged me with knowingly and purposeful murder. And the reason that they charged me with knowingly and purpose, even though there was no mistake, is that I tried to avoid apprehension. So therefore they say I was aware of somewhat what was going on because I left the scene of the crime. So that kind of turned it into something even more different. But one of the most tragic things of this was when his sister them came to visit me in the county jail, when everybody had said Maxwell did it, and they said Maxwell didn't do that. There's nothing my brother could have done to him for him to do this to him. And so when they came to visit me, and she asked me, she said, Maxwell, did you kill my brother? I say, if my bullet, that I know of, I was the only one out there firing that night, and as a result, that was my bullet, yes. So that was very hurting for me and everything, And they knew it was an accident, actually. And, they supported me. We're friends and everything up until this day right now. We've, me and his sister have actually done engagements together. She's actually an author herself. She's actually an author, and I believe in domestic violence, so we share that. And she was abused by her former husband, who's a police chief. So she put a book out called Hidden Behind the Badge. So when she has events, I go and talk because I can share the story of my sister as well. So we share that. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, that's amazing that she was able to see that it was an accident and forgive you. That had to have helped a little bit. I mean, nothing's going to bring back your friend. But.
Yes. It helped lessen it. Not that it was worsening. It did help ease it somewhat, the pain. I mean, the pain was still there, but it helped to ease the pain for them some. Yes, exactly.
And that's a beautiful thing that the both of you can speak together and inspire others with your stories. Maxwell, that is a brilliant idea. I remember when that came out, I was just a kid, probably a freshman in high school, maybe in 8th grade. And even at the time, I recognized how dope of an idea that was to have actual people incarcerated put out music. And this was before Bloods and Crips had the Bangin' on Wax, which that was a great thing too. It brought rival gangs together to put out a dope project. This predates that. But before we get into that, you end up going to prison, and in 1980, correct?
Yes, correct. Yeah, 1980. Yes. And
that's when you started serving.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And, like you said, the rest is history. It was hell, going in there. Down there I was a bit terrified. So, going to prison I was terrified, It was a whole different ball game, Do
you remember what it was like the first night you went in?
Well, first I went to the reformatory because I was young, and they had me in there. And the reformatory, I didn't really care for it. I heard that the prison was better than that, and eventually they was going to send me there, but I hadn't been sentenced yet. So I heard a lot about Rawway, and so I put in a transfer and asked the warden, could I be shipped to Rawway because I would like to be involved in a lot of the programs and different things. And he turned me down. When he turned me down, I actually got into a fight, a confrontation with the officers, and I got shipped down to the prison. And the first prison I went to was Trenton State Prison. That was one of New Jersey's roughest prison, meaning Trenton was the last stop for the state of New Jersey. That's the first prison that I went to. And when I first went there, I got sent to solitary confinement for 90 days because of the confrontation with the officers. So after that, I got out of there, out of solitary. And from there, I had gotten several disciplinary reports and everything because I had issues with how the police talked to me and everything. And I wasn't used to that. And so me mouthing back, I got beat up, a few times by the police. And, I had issues with how they talked to me. And, I had a couple confrontations in there, while in there. Just the environment. I'm a young kid, and, I had to protect myself. So, had I let one guy get away with it, this is a true story. I was going to visit one day, right? So I'm walking. These visits, we had to go out of the building to go. And when you're going out of the building, you're going past the mess hall. So the guys that work in the kitchen, right, they can be at the big gate. So as I'm walking by, somebody throwing me some kisses and everything, right? Like you find, and, I don't want to cuss really, I don't know. But you find little sweet this and that and that, right? So I'm like, what? So he said, you heard what I said, right? So I said, all right. I said, we going to see each other. So I go to my visit, and I worked up in the ODR, which is the officer's dining room. I had to go down to the big kitchen to get the food to bring up. And, so they got a basement there. When the trucks unload, you slide the boxes down the thing, and they go down there and they stack them. So me and the guy went down. He said, meet him down there. I met him down there. But when I got down there, he was waiting with an iron pipe. And at that moment, he could have killed me at that moment. The only reason that it didn't go down like that, because some guys that knew me and everything said, no, you're going to get a fair one. You're going to get a fair one. So, we got a fair one at that time. But if them guys wasn't there, the guy could have killed me with that pipe. So from that day on, I really learned there was no fair fights in prison, really. That was my first wake-up call to no such thing as fair fights. And
to survive that any way you can.
And I wouldn't be here right now, if it wasn't for those guys. Like, no, you're going to give them a fair one. You're going to put that back. You're going to put that pipe down. So, I live to be able to tell that story. And so, from there.
You ever run into that guy again?
Yeah, I ran into him. I ran into him several times after that. We wasn't, it was done. It was said and done at that point. Yeah, we ran into each other. It was just said and done at that point. He recognized that, he wasn't just going, talk slick and all that. He learned, and that I was by myself, but really I wasn't by myself in a sense,
Yeah.
Yeah, because he had been there a long while. He'd been established, and when you're established in there sometimes, some guys get a little clout and stuff. They used to it. They learn all the movements and moves and all that in prison and how to get around everything and, those types of things.
Well, you go through all this, and eventually, I think it's like, about 5 or 6 years later after you get in?
Yes.
That you become involved with the Lifers Group?
Yes, I ended up, Rawway had a mini riot. Right? And I had written, and I was on good behavior after like 7 years in Trenton. So I had requested, you can request transfer. So I had put in administrative transfer. So on Christmas Eve, Rawway had a riot. And they brought like 60 guys down to lockup down there. And so I remember that night at 1 o'clock, I didn't know what was going on. They come, back it up. And, I got shipped to Rawway. I got to Rawway, got a little familiar. I seen, the Scare Straight program and everything was there. And I saw what they was doing. And at that point, after being in Rawway for a while, I put in a request, and they accepted me into the group because they try not to allow, they don't allow any guys. If you had child molestation, rape, or anything like that, you couldn't be in the group because they couldn't have you around the kids and different things, So, yeah, the screening committee brought me in, So from there, it was like early 89, and, rap, had taken on something real big and everything. It had become big, and I used to look at a video music box with Ralph McDaniels, and I saw that the kids was listening to basically everything that the rappers were saying as far as hairstyles, clothing, and everything. So that came to my mind, well, if they're listening to them, they're having an influence on them, maybe I can have an influence on them about the realities of everyday prison life, right? So I say Public Enemy spoke about blackness real best. Ice Cube spoke about the streets of Compton at his best. With N.W.A, I say, but what neither of them can do better than me is talk about the reality of prison life because I'm living it every day. They don't have that upper hand over me, So also, in honor of my victim, I wanted to do something. I didn't just want all bad to come up out of what happened. So in honor of him, I wanted to really be able to have an impact on other people so they didn't end up in my situation. So I became more involved, with the music. And there was a guy, you might have known him by the name of David Funkenklein. They called him Gangsta Limpin'. And he was in New York, and Hollywood Basic was a rap label that was opening. It was owned by Disney.
Yeah.
And, I reached out to him. He had heard of the Scare Straight and Lifers Group. And so I told him I wanted to get a message out to the kids, and that I had some guys in here that could rap. So he started sending music beats to me and everything. We started exchanging by mail. Then eventually he started coming in. And then, he also brought in some producers from Denmark. But when I first told everybody my ideal, they was laughing at me and everything. Yeah, right, you going to do a record in here. Yeah, right. It was a joke to everybody. Until they seen that letter come from the Walt Disney Company on their stationery. We like to come in and talk to Maxwell Melvins. We like to do a recording with him, right? And so some of them still didn't believe it. So,
wow.
But then some of my other Lifers Group members, the older ones, wasn't with the music because they were older and stuff. So they was like, man, you're not coming in here bringing this nonsense in here, man. Come on, man. And then eventually they took to it after a while. And then in the prison, you would have thought that I was, Michael Jackson or somebody. I had half of the prison following after me trying to be down on the project. Everybody wanted to be down. But at first it was a joke, so I had to
Once
do...
Once they saw it was real, yeah.
Yeah, they saw, when they seen the camera crews and everything started coming through and all this, it was like everybody was running me down. They used to wait in the hallways for me and everything. I've even had guys trying to push up on me, like, you going to put me down on there or y'all ain't going to have this. I had guys push up on me about that. And
how did you deal with that situation?
Man, I had how did I deal with it? They wasn't going to become a part of it. That was the bottom line. Yeah. And number one, they just wasn't going to become a part of it. I used to get a lot of attitudes from a lot of the guys inside the prison, even the officers. And it becomes so big that, you're going to get haters in every way, right? From everywhere. You're going to get somebody to hate what you're doing when you're trying to do the right thing. So, I had a lot of guys that, start for no reason, just start to hate your guts because of what you were doing. And like, who he think he is. He think he's all that, all that. But it wasn't that. I went into something with my heart genuinely. Because if I didn't go into this project with my heart genuinely, this project would have never went complete. Because it was hell doing this. It wasn't easy. We did 2 albums. It wasn't an easy process. There was a lot of work involved. And I was going to see this out at all costs. At all costs, I was going to see this happen. So, yes.
Man, you masterminded, to me, one of the dopest hip-hop projects of all time, considering that your situation, where you were. That's what makes it so amazing. Yeah, you're talking about the guys from Madness for Real. For our listeners that came from Denmark, we had Nick Coldhands on the show last year. Shout out to the homie Eric Clark for making that happen. But you start putting this album together. You start recruiting a bunch of very talented artists inside, and you put this out, and you end up getting nominated for a Grammy Award for Best Music Video. Man, that had to be the icing on the cake. What were they saying after that happened?
Man, they was out of control. Even some of the guys on the project, they was out of control. But like I said, I had no clue or anything. I didn't put it out for that reason or anything. That was the least thing I ever expected. And like after all, you sure Madonna won, and it wasn't that I was trying to challenge it in the first place, but she won. But a lot of people thought they had us in the wrong category. The public even thought that we should have, gotten it over her, but they don't understand the process. But they even thought so because of its content, because I got tons and tons of letters from them. People, you won, don't worry about it. You won. And I wasn't worried about it. But I remember hearing that, and 2020 was in there, and the TV show was recording as we watched the Grammys because they sent me the tickets and invitations, and I couldn't go. but they sent me the invitation to attend the Grammys. Yeah, they sent me the invitation, to go to the Grammy. They sent me tickets, and yeah.
And then prison couldn't make an exception. Like, I mean, even have an armed guard with you. That's horrible.
The reason that the reason they didn't want to make the exception was because I was going in a different jurisdiction too. I was going out of state. You know, had it possibly been in New Jersey, they would have let me, because that's not the first thing. I used to go outside the prison. They used to take us to the state police barracks in handcuffs and shackles, because when they was doing seminars and the training, we used to go in there and talk to them about the kids and how they, since a lot of them that was in them criminal justice classes, they're going to be the future judges, leaders, and prosecutors and different things, of what could they do different to try to reach the kids before they reach the level of us. So we used to go out to their training and to teach them,
Yeah.
So that's why I had a hard time with it.
I was going to say, I saw the interview in 2020. They were filming inside while the Grammys was on, and I could see, obviously, you were visibly upset about it. So you were under the impression that you had it sealed in the bag.
No, it wasn't that. No, I didn't even anticipate. No, not at all.
No, from them telling you, I mean.
I didn't think we had it sealed. I was just, because I didn't fully understand, I was somewhat disappointed. And again, the reason why I didn't know the process of it, and I thought because of its content, that what it involved and everything, I thought there was the possibility, a high possibility. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because of its content and what the message was. But they didn't, it wasn't that, because Madonna won on her Blind Ambition tour video, long form video. That's what the video she won for. And that was just basically her going on tour, just basically on tour and stuff.
Yeah, no importance of helping in the community or rehabilitating the youth, I feel you 100%, man. But still, though, man, even if you didn't get that Grammy, man, just to get that project out there to the masses at that time, then to get that illumination upon it, being nominated. I mean, that's something you're always going to be able to say, you know what? I put out a project that was nominated for a Grammy. So that's huge.
And you know what? Everybody always tell me when I go on speaking engagement, like some of my coworkers and stuff, they tell people, because I don't talk about it much. So they say, go ahead, man. You was always scared to go ahead. You did it. You earned it. Go ahead. I'll be like, nah, But they always tell the people themselves, Instead,
well, you're a very
humble
individual, man.
They said Maxwell also nominated. Dude, you wear it, man. Come on, you did it. Wear it. And I like downplay it and stuff. And I just like, I don't know, man. I just like, it's great because it probably happened. So I don't hold it so much because it went there already in a sense. I don't know, but I just don't. I think that was great, but I want to do even greater things.
Oh yeah. I mean, you're just getting started. That was something that is historically locked in time forever. Because again, for our listeners, I want them to understand. You put this project out in the most dire conditions. You couldn't go on tour and promote it. You couldn't go do autograph signings at record stores. So that's what makes this so much more special as well. But let's talk about the future here. In 1 second, I want to bring on the homie Sin from France. He's got a couple questions for you.
Right.
I think about this project actually. Sin, are you there, brother?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Hi, Scott. Hi, Maxwell.
Hey, how you doing?
Yeah.
Man? How you doing, my brother?
Yeah. I'm fine. Can you tell us about the song and the video of Short Life of a Gangster? It was a classic song back in the day.
Well, that particular song, Short Life of a Gangster, was actually about telling the story of a real life situation where a kid wanted to be a gangster. And the message in that was, yes, he might have become to that point, but he lived a short life of a gangster. That's what Short Life of a Gangster about. And, you know, one of the other guys in there by the name of, the Vine part was of not listening to his mother and everything, you know. So it was telling the story of actual events and things that had happened in their lives. You know, that's what Short Life of a Gangster was about, actually. And, you know, we had Organized Confusion, who was also on one of the versions. They were on there, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a remix. Yeah.
Yes.
Also, this album, Living Proof, is very strong close to the producers. I think about Dr. Jam, Madness for Real, and Fast Five. Tell us about these producers for this album.
Well, the producers for that particular album, no. Dr. Jam, Phase 5, and them, they produced the first EP. They didn't produce Living Proof. They produced the EP, Life is Group.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this album was mostly produced by like Organized Confusion and a few people, you know. And, they didn't produce the whole album. You know, there was a mixture. You know, but they produced the other album. They produced the whole album, the EP. But working with them, it was, it was pretty good. You know, we worked together. You know, we got along pretty good. You know, and as far as them giving direction and different things, sometimes some of the guys had issues with it, like when they was recording, because you know, they thought they knew better, and they didn't. They weren't the producers or anything. So some of them thought, you know, they had ideals, and, you know, there was a project that had to be done, and there were certain things that could be done, and there was other things that weren't going to be done. You know, like the content of it. You know, they even did a freestyle on the album, if you listen. And the reason that we did the freestyle to let them do that, to show some of their skills too, you know. We had to have some fun to it. Just couldn't be all seriousness, you know. But yes, some of them would have possibly done songs about hate and bitterness and everything. But again, the project, that wasn't the purpose of the project. So I had to keep people focused. This is the direction that we going. You know, we going this direction. We got a message that's got to get out there. And when I went to the guys, I said, look, if you could say something to the kids out there in your own words, I want you to, could you rap that for me? And so that's basically what they did. And, you know, talked about their own experiences in their lives and other people's lives too.
Yeah, right. We got also the song Jack You Back, Living Proof. It was a dope song. Can you tell us about this one too?
Oh, Jack You Back. You remember Ice Cube and them did the one Jacking for Beats back in the day?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, sir.
All right, so we kind of wanted something similar. But so Jack You Back was about, so you want to be a gangster, right? Now, that was kind of like not a joke because it was telling things, but if you listen to the end of it, right, you will hear me saying, this is Maxwell Melvins from Rawway Prison. And if you got a problem with what I just did, come and see me at Rawway State Prison, 66064, because you just been jacked. You know, so that was kind of like, you know, that was just, you know, something there, you know. Right there, as I said, there was a little entertainment there also, but it was real.
Yeah.
You know, the things, it was real and everything. Yes.
Yeah, the scratch was dope, but on the hook, don't try to apprehend. Very
Yeah.
Very, very talented. You know, you guys, I mean, a lot of the rappers at the time who were rapping about that stuff, I mean, if anybody had the right to, it would be you. You know, it would be the Lifers group because you guys, you know, it's real shit. Pardon my language, but it's real.
Yeah, exactly. You know? Because we was living it every day, and we've been there and done that. And mostly them out there at that time was talking about theirs was fiction, ours was fact. But now, if you was to do it now, though, right now in this time, some of them have been through that and have lived some of that in a way in this day and time. But they don't use that to steer other people and kids' lives away from that. You know what I'm saying? They don't use it in a positive way. You know,
No.
they just seem like they tear it down more. And right now, you know, like, it's just crazy right now, this rap industry right now. And the reason I say that it's crazy is nonsense.
There's no accountability, man. There's no, you mentioned Public Enemy. I was so happy when they dropped What You're Gonna Do When the Grid Goes Down this year.
Yeah.
Just to hear a Public Enemy record 2020 was amazing.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, you're right, man. The kids that are rapping, they just, man, it's all about pills. It's all about just stupid stuff, materialism.
That's all it's about.
Yeah, there needs to be guidance.
Yeah, and there was rules to this stuff back then. You know, there were rules to that. They couldn't come out with some of the nonsense that they come out with now. I mean, I'm glad to see that you know, that some of them ain't going to jail. Yes, they're making a living from it, but look, you're making a living off in terror and sending other people to prison and stuff because some of these kids aren't able to differentiate what's fact and fiction, what's real and what's not real. And like these guys, you know, don't really live this life that they talk. They want to pretend that they did. They want to pretend about certain things, but they don't tell them the truth about when you end up in prison and you're in there and you're crying at night and you want to go home and you can't. They don't tell them about all these things, you know, how, you know, you're just stressing in there. They don't tell you how your kids, your wife, your families run off on you and everything. They don't tell you how guys push up on you in there. That is not as simple. They don't tell them about how they take their things in there. They don't tell them about all these things. You know, they just sell them a dream. And so a lot of these kids right now, they think it's a joke, a badge of honor, because they, you know, to get locked up. You know? And so right now, that's what I keep sharing my story, man. I'm gonna keep sharing my story. I don't care how many times I got to tell it, and if it can help, if it can have an impact and turn their lives around, and that's what I'm gonna do, you know. And I still work with music. Yes.
Not to cut you off, but
no, go ahead. It's cool. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think it might be time for Lifers Part 2. Have you ever thought about that?
Yeah. Yeah, we've thought about that. You know, there's gonna be something coming. There's gonna be something coming. You'll see something coming. You know, I can guarantee you that. I can guarantee you that. As long as I'm alive, something's gonna be coming. You know, and yeah, most definitely, something's gonna be coming through. And you know, I still work with music right now. You know, I work with Jim Crow Records right now. And we record currently and formerly incarcerated people. That's all the people that are on our label. If you get a chance, you can, you know, check it out. You know, Jim Crow Records.
Yeah, definitely.
That's what we do.
I would like to interview some if I can. We've had many people on the show here, you know, who are from behind the wall.
Yeah.
You know, they got to be heard too.
Yeah. Yes, most definitely. And some of their music, if you hear, I will definitely, you know, arrange some of that for you. I would definitely, you know, make the contact for you and everything with some of them. You know, you have some of them out there. You know, they're in Cali, they're all over. They're in Iowa, they're in different prisons, and they went inside the prisons in these different states to record these people. You know? Yeah. So that you know, that can happen. Yes, you know, and you know, like I said, I just look forward to, you know, sharing this in music, and I would just like to see the rap music change again, you know, just to hip hop and the culture, and not just, I don't know what this other stuff is.
Substance and the elements
you know?
to it. You know, I've been covering music for about close to 25 years, and early 2000s, I started to notice the elements were slipping away. Like the DJ wasn't as important as he used to be. You didn't hear the cut and scratch like you used to. Then, you know, graffiti and stuff like that was disappearing. And it started stripping the elements away till you got to modern day where some guys don't even rap. They just make like weird gurgle noises and put it on a beat. It's like, I don't know what the hell this guy's saying, and I can't relate. And like you said, it's really dumbing the kids down. It's not giving them any kind of substance, nothing to take away from it, nothing to help build their futures up. You know, everybody loves good music, you know what I'm saying? But also everybody wants to have a message, too. There isn't that anymore.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and there, you know, the OJs had a song. I don't know if you remember. It was called "There's a Message in Our Music." If you ever hear it, just check it out by the OJs. It's called "A Message in My Music." They're not a rap, but just you know, absolutely, you know. But like
Sam Cooke, change gonna come. I mean, there's music out there that it was always about substance.
Yeah.
You know, and we need that now more than ever.
Yeah.
That's why I was saying, you know, it would be time for a Lifers project because we haven't had nothing like that in a long, long time. When you look back at that project, and what are your thoughts?
My thoughts is that yes, it was a great project, and yes, I would like to see something to that effect with that type of content in it, and actually people that were there that could really tell them, you know, where you're not just some make believe guys that are telling you this story and sharing these stories with you, and you're not just getting music or entertainment. You're getting, you know, some enlightenment, and maybe you would grab hold of them, you know, maybe. As a matter of fact, I told you, as a matter of fact, Beats from Crunchy Black from 3-6 Mafia, Beats is Crunchy Black's manager, but Beats did an interview, and Beats said that I saved his life as a result of my music. He just told me this 2 weeks ago. I had no clue. And if you ever want to talk to him, I know his manager. She can make contact for you if you ever want to talk to Beats.
Yeah, definitely. Send him my way, man. And because we've had Crunchy on the show many times over the years. Crunchy's is a good dude. He's had the highest highs of success. And then he's dealt with a lot of pain in life.
Yes,
you know?
Yes, absolutely. You know, and so, you know, that's a good thing. I mean, Beats is just one of many that have told me that and shared this story with me. You know, and a lot of times I used to tell the kids, they used to come in, don't end up with a number like I did. Because in here, you're identified by a number, not your name. So I had a kid write a letter one time to me. He says, Maxwell, I hope you're not upset with me, but I have a number now. And, he written here, I have a number, but it's a badge number. He had became a police. He did it in a joking way. Look, I got a number, but it's not the number you had. It's the number to my badge. You know? Yeah. And that was a good story to just see that he, you know, it caught a lot of them. It caught a lot of their attention, and I know for a fact that it had a lot of impact on a lot of lives out there, and that's the great part about it.
That's what I was going to say, man. It's got to make you feel good knowing that you've dedicated your life to helping others. You know, that's a very positive thing.
Yeah, you know, so, you know, because, like I said, because of that, yes, I when I think about it, sometimes it don't, but other times it seems real relevant to me, important. Like, dude, do you realize you saved somebody's life? You know, at other times, at times though, you know, I don't try to put it back like as a past. It passed. I still try to live it. That's why I do what I do right now. I still do what I do, and you know, I don't think I'm ever stop doing what I'm gonna do. And when I'm telling this story, I'm not just telling the story about prison. I'm telling them, do you see how this project was done in prison? Where there's a will, there's a way. And if you want to do something bad enough, you can make it happen. So I try to tell them to
Regardless
apply
of
that
your
thing to their life.
circumstances.
Yes, if you want it bad enough. So I try to apply that thing to them. If I can do this in there, you can definitely do this out here. Not the music, but whatever. As an example.
Let me ask you this. In the Scared Straight program, I know sometimes there's some kids that are hard to crack. What was your toughest challenge as far as trying to reach a kid?
Well, you had some that, I had left at the time, but you had a couple of kids that started wanting to bang out with them on the stage. This was about maybe 6 years ago. I mean, you get some of those kids are challenging, because you be up in their face and you talking to them, dude, you don't really want me to do. They be like, you ain't going to do nothing to me, nothing, and they'll challenge you. A few of them will challenge you right there, but we had guys around them, so they wouldn't really get out of hand, but you've had times when they've gotten out of hand, Some of the kids have gotten out of hand, and they was really willing to challenge. No matter how many guys was up on that stage, they were still willing to challenge us.
Any of them take a swing at you?
I've never had one taking a swing at me, but yes, they taken some swings at them. They had there was a big confrontation there a few years ago. Yeah, about 5 years ago, where they had actually taken a swing at the guys up there. Yes, yes.
Seems like the kids are getting a lot more, like I just don't care nowadays,
Well, they don't. It's not that they get and they don't care about anything.
They don't. No.
I mean, look at the things before them. Look at a lot of their parents. No discipline, no anything. But sometimes you can still have a parent in the house do anything for that kid, and that kid can still turn out like that. So we can't really blame it on the parents. It's just that, nobody has the answer. We don't know what's happened to them, really, because I've never seen anything like this. They have no regards for human life. They just walk out there and just blow somebody's brains out for nothing because he looked at me this way or because he did this that way. And they think nothing about it. They have no value on life, not any value on life. And I just wish that they would wake up. And you would have thought that COVID would have slowed a lot of things down, but it didn't. It's COVID, because they're still doing the same thing out there. They're still doing the same thing out there. But again, some of them can be reached. We can't give up on them. We can't give up on all of them. Some of them can be reached, and some of them won't be reached. But we can't save them all. But we'll be able to save some of them, most definitely. Yeah. And so that's why I do what I do.
A lot of them don't have any self-love. And when they don't have that self-love, they don't care. I remember being 14, 15 years old. I didn't care. You know what I'm saying? All I was trying to do was get high, ride around my friends. If we were getting chased by cops, I thought it was cool. Oh, shit.
Yeah.
I was on a path to going where you went, man. And I was fortunate. My parents got me out of the situation, moved me away from the trouble before I was there. But kids sometimes, man, they just don't care. They lose all sense of empathy, remorse,
any type of feelings. Like I just said, some of them will blow your brains out and wouldn't think twice. They wouldn't think twice about it. They turn on their own parents, their mothers, their fathers, their brothers, their sisters. They just don't care. But I said, if we can save some of them, then it's worth it. If we can save some, So I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing, to try to reach as many of them as I can. And some of them do listen, though. They listen. Some of them really do listen. And they go a different direction. They go a different path. Some of them, they really do. If I didn't think so, I wouldn't keep telling my story.
Well, I'll tell you what, I commend you for continuing to tell your story, and I really would like to have you on again, another episode or two in the future, if you don't care, because it was great talking to you, and I hope our listeners can get some inspiration out of this.
Yes, yes, absolutely, because, they're hearing it from somebody, that's really lived it, was really about it, and can really tell them that it's not worth it. You can tell them the real consequences, and that most people, that when they go out and they kill somebody, they didn't wake up that day and think that would happen or say that I'm going to go out and kill somebody. So they got to know that the slightest thing sometimes can lead to that. And they don't just have to go out and kill nobody to end up in prison. They can be with the wrong crowd, the wrong guy. We pull up to the store, right? He tells you he's going in the store to get a pack of cigarettes. Next thing you know, he's running back out to the car with a bag of money. Police pull you over. What you think they're going to do? You were an accessory, even though you had no control over what he did. So they need to understand that, too. You can end up in there for the rest of your life just because you were there with them. You didn't have to pull the trigger. They're not going to believe that. They're not going to believe that you were just riding in the car, he got out, and he ran in, and he robbed it, and you didn't know. They're not just going to go for that, even though it could be true. So that's what I try to also explain to them,
Yeah. Anything to reach these kids, and I'll tell you what, like I said, it was great talking to you, Maxwell. I want you to stay safe and keep doing what you're doing because you're needed. And I want to give you the floor before we get out of here, though. If we missed anything or you want to bring up something, man, it's all yours, brother.
No, I'm just basically, that people can reach out to me. I'm on Instagram and things. I'll respond to them. Kids or anybody. I'll respond to them. Whether on Twitter or Instagram. If it's all right, I'll give my handle from Instagram. It's Melvin782. And if they don't believe it, they write me. I'll write back to them. And I just like to say. I just like to hope that I can keep having an impact on these kids that are out there. And I really appreciate this very much. You afforded me the opportunity to come on here and to, share my message and my words of encouragement. I appreciate that very much because I've heard about the murder music show for the longest. For a long time.
It's an honor for you to, want to come onto this platform because I'm very familiar who you are, and like I said, my favorite thing to do before I started getting into trouble. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications, like, comment, share. Also go over to UGSforlife.com, download the entire archive, and check out new episodes on Apple Podcasts and Blog Talk Radio.